This is a Peter Channel in Norton, Massachusetts. It's 8 o'clock. And it is time now for Norton's own Symphony Under the Stars presented by Wheaton College. Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter J. Wiggins. The time is 8 o'clock on this Friday, July 28th, 2017. And it's a beautiful evening for a concert tonight. A lot of people in attendance tonight for Wheaton College presents Norton Symphony Under the Stars tonight. And that's President Dennis Hanno. And this is the Great Woods Symphony Orchestra. And the conductor is Associate Professor of Music, Delvin Case. Beautiful evening under the stars at Winnacunnet. A picture-perfect evening. Temperature in Norton 78 degrees at 8 o'clock.
We're not trying to encourage you, Bob.
Original reports in the weather said it was a call for rain, but the rain held off, and it'll be a beautiful evening for a wonderful concert under the stars. Hi, Kathy! And we'll have the concert in a few minutes.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wheaton College and the President's House at Wheaton College. If I haven't had a chance to say hello, or we haven't met before, I'm Dennis Hanno. I'm the president here at Wheaton College, and really pleased to host you here on the back lawn of the President's House. I can't help but, I know we have many people who have probably not been here before, so I just do want to say a quick word about this tremendous treasure, this house here. This house predates the college. The college was started in 1834. This house was built in 1829. It was Mrs. Wheaton's original house, her only house during her married life. She moved in here in 1829 at age 18 and lived here until 1905. So the house has a lot of history. The only people to live in the house are Mr. and Mrs. Wheaton and the 8 presidents of Wheaton College, and I'm the 8th president here at Wheaton. So it's a true treasure for the college and for the community, and one that we're pleased to share with you tonight. This is the first event of its kind. A couple of people have asked me and said, well, I haven't been here for anything like this. There may have been something, a few years back, but we, in thinking about being a good member of the Norton community in the greater Norton area, and thinking about all the great things that we have at Wheaton College, we have a tremendous music program, and the gentleman you're about to meet in a second is very, very community oriented and has been asking me for 3 years to get things going with the community, and one of the great examples of it is the orchestra that you're going to hear tonight, which is not just a Wheaton orchestra, but one that includes many members of the community. So I want to turn it over to our conductor, the person who really gets the credit for putting this together. So I hope you will join me in welcoming Professor Delvin Case to the Great Woods Orchestra this evening. Professor Case.
Delvin Case.
Thank you very much, President Hanno, and welcome to everyone here. This is a wonderful turnout. We couldn't have asked for better weather. Are gone. It's dark enough, so you're in luck. What you see behind you is a version of the orchestra that runs during the school year at Wheaton. The regular version of the Great Woods Symphony has about 70 people. It includes Wheaton students, music faculty, other Wheaton staff members, plus members of the general public that range in age from middle school up to retired. So it's really, I think it's a great example. And we give a concert at the end of each term. We're doing a wonderful Tchaikovsky symphony in December, so make sure you come. That will be inside, by the way, on December 11th at 3 o'clock. The group you see behind me has some guests who are playing for this concert at Wheaton for the first time. We have some alumni, we have some current students, we have two of our Wheaton music faculty members, Zarina on cello and Sheila on violin. So you have sort of a miniature version of what we do on a weekly basis during the semester. Thank you very much for coming. Tonight's concert is just a wide variety of music, some of which you may know, some of which I guarantee you don't know, but you will know and you will like. And so we're going to go all over the place. We're going to play music from all over the world, focusing actually on America. And to begin the concert tonight, rather than do the national anthem, we're going to do what is basically a better musical tune, which is America the Beautiful. Ask anybody, any singer, they would rather sing America the Beautiful than the Star Spangled Banner. So you don't need to stand up, but this will function as our sort of celebration of America, our post 4th of July celebration, and a way to open this concert and honor our country. Thank you very much. So most of the music we'll be performing this evening is actually from America. But we're actually going to move, first of all, maybe just to our, sort of our closest neighbor, if you will, to Great Britain. We're going to do this wonderful piece called Capriole Suite by a very interesting gentleman whose name is Peter Warlock. Now, that's not the name he was born with, because as I discovered, he did embrace the so-called dark arts in his career, and did change his name to Warlock. So, I think the music is lovely and beautiful, so don't hold that against him. But I guess he was a pretty eccentric guy. He was working in the early 20th century in Britain, and he was a part of a bunch of composers that were really starting to get interested in British music going back several hundred years. So he took 6 Renaissance-era dances from Europe, from Britain and France, and he wrote this really sort of short piece, 6 short movements, each of which takes one of these Renaissance dances and sort of presents them with a modern orchestra. The first 3 are, well, it's sort of fast, slow, fast, if you will. The last 3 are really fun. The 4th one is called Brawl, and it sounds like a brawl. It's really exciting. It's faster and faster. And the 5th one is called basically Feet in the Air. It's a very slow, lovely dance that I understand you do. There's some kind of dance move where your feet go in the air. And the last one is the sword dance, and it's, from what I understand, similar to sort of like the Morris dancing you might see. So each of these movements is 2 or 3 minutes long. We're going to sort of go straight through. If you want to clap after each one, you can, but you don't have to. You can save it to the end. So it's called Capriole Suite, and we have, again, 6 sort of short movements. Each is a different kind of dance.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Did it make you feel like dancing? A little bit? Famous pieces of American music. Barber's Adagio for Strings, which you may not know you know, but you probably do know, because it's in movies and commercials, etc. And it's oftentimes a piece of music that's used for elegies or remembrances or funerals on the organ or by in a choral version, but oftentimes for strings. It's called Adagio for Strings, after all. The piece was written in the 1930s when Samuel Barber, one of America's greatest composers, was 26 years old. It was originally a string quartet, but he expanded it for a full orchestra. It's about 7 or 8 minutes long, and if you can't hear it at the beginning, that's okay. It's supposed to be like that. It's very, very quiet, but then it gets quite passionate. So this is really a wonderful piece of music, and if I may, if there's someone in your life that needs some thought, or if there's some part of your heart that is hurting, sometimes music can actually, well, not actually, music really can help soothe. So if that's a place that you're at and you feel like using these 7 or 8 minutes for a bit of quiet time, we'd be happy to help make that happen. But of course, if you'd like to just enjoy the beautiful music, you may as well. So this is Barber's Adagio for Strings. How many of you recognize that? Do you recognize it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yep.
So, I actually misspoke, and we can't have any of these. We can't have a concert without J.S. Bach, who is German after all. And my wife teaches German at Wheaton, so I definitely have to program some German on every program, which is not hard, to be honest, with classical music. And so we are going to do just a perennial favorite of classical music. It's a solo for soprano and strings and two flutes from one of J.S. Bach's cantatas. It's a piece of music they usually wrote for a church, but this is actually a piece that's secular. And the text is basically talking about how in a well-run country, essentially, a well-run country is sort of like a well-ordered sort of biological sort of living world where everything has its place and sheep may safely graze, that they're protected, etc. And so it's it's beautiful. I know you've heard it before. My friend Gene will be singing it in English, which will be helpful if it's initially in German. So before I introduce our featured soloists here, I do want to mention that our two flute players over here, Shinyi and Shinru Liu, are Wheaton students. They are not only playing flutes, but later on tonight they're going to both play piano, and they are both going to play cymbal. That's right, we have such talented students here that they can play 3 instruments on one concert. So, thank you very much to them. I should also mention that originally, this is not the kind of flute that Bach would have used. He called for recorder. Now, how many of you have played or have a kid that played recorder in school? Yes, and you probably ask yourself, why is my kid learning this? Will this ever be useful? Well, if your kid had continued with recorder beyond 3rd grade, I should let you know, people, that they might have a chance to be a professional recorder player and play this piece. So it's not too late, by the way. If you have a grandchild or a child who's starting recorder, dream big. So I want to welcome to the stage, though she's already here, my good friend Jean Danton, who will be singing this and a couple of other pieces for us. So we'll welcome Jean and our flute players as well. can I ask you, could you hear Jean? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because I want to make sure with more people, etc. You know, so if you could hear her, that's great, because that's why she's here to actually sing, not lip sync. So I'm glad you can hear her. And I'm glad we did that piece early in the program, because any later the flute players would not be able to see their music. So we are so we're going to shift to some music that's maybe a little bit lighter. And in fact, the thematic switch between Sheep May Safely Graze and our next piece is the livestock motif, right? We're next moving on to Copland's rodeo ballet. So we're moving from sheep to horses and cows, etc.